Hello.
Hi Mimma, how are you doing? It's Georgie.
Hi Georgie, I'm very well. How are you?
Not too bad. Excited about the upcoming Fashion Week. How about you?
Excited, yes, because I'm very curious to see where all of this is going. Are you excited?
I think a mixed bag. I think last season showed us what worked and what didn't in terms of having a digital fashion show. But obviously this season there's going to be a mixture of digital and fashion. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they work hand in hand. I think there's a really interesting opportunity to see how people have been creative in such interesting times, having looked at menswear going forward. That's my main excitement, is seeing how people took that and grew.
I agree. It's going to be very important because I'm convinced that, the same that happened with e-commerce and brick and mortars, I'm convinced that there's going to be a time of digital and in real life that have to go together, and I'm convinced that's going to last. It's not going to go away, it's not going to go anywhere. Look at us. I mean, in London now we are allowed to go out and meet, and yet we don't. I still spend most of my time doing this remotely. So it's going to be a very important one, and it's going to be important not only to see who's going to be creative and not, but also to see what happens to the industry, how buyers will deal with it and how the press will deal. But especially, fashion had gone down in the street, and it was very much the spectacle of everybody, and people were dressing up and young people were going outside of the shows. All of this, I don't think is going to happen. People are not traveling. What do you think? I mean, it's going to be a dead London and a dead New York and a dead Milan and Paris, right?
I think it's going to be interesting because, like you said, it affects everyone so differently. I think because of COVID, they're going to have to cut down the seating. So that in itself is going to cause some drama and some tiffs amongst the British press, because that will have to be cut down. Same with the buyers, unless they do multiple showings, but I doubt very much that that's going to happen for security reasons. And as you say, the whole street style, the whole fanfare, the peacocking outside the shows, not just in London, but it's a scrum. It's an absolute scrum trying to get into most shows, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that's changed and how they become, very disciplined, formal affairs.
Fashion has an importance not only for the clothes and its commerce, but also for this socio-anthropological aspect of it. And I think that the fact that it was becoming more and more democratic, and all these people were living around it, living a totally different kind of week around it, it's very important. It's also very important as an inspiration for designers and an inspiration for buyers, for editors, for all of us. And with this disappearing, I wonder, who is this for? Does it still matter?
It is interesting, and it's an odd, with the mix of digital and physical. I think the digital last season was inviting this hugely democratic, invite everyone, click on the website and everyone can watch, particularly with London Fashion Week. Whereas the cutting down of the seats at shows arguably makes that even more elitist than it was before. It's harder to get a ticket, it's harder to get a spot. So you have this weird kind of duality that's going on. And then
contradiction.
Yeah, complete contradiction. But then these quiet streets, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how people react to the lack of street style, because as you say, it fuels so much. Potentially they'll have a designated cameraman outside of every show. A solo cameraman.
Georgie, I think the shows will want people more than ever because they only have locals. So they will have fewer seats, but they will have so many people that will not attend. There will be no Americans in Europe and no European in America. I'm not sure there will be many Asians here, or no Asians in America. I mean, America is closed, as we know. They can't get out, and they actually solved the immigration problem because nobody can go out and nobody can come in. So that's it. So America is closed, and that's a big part of the shows, between press and buyers and celebrities. I have a feeling that they will beg us to go. No? Am I wrong?
I don't know. My instinct is that I think they'll be flying select press over, as they did with Etro and Dolce for the menswear shows. But
they're not allowed into the country. I don't think custom will
Paris is going to be Paris is a complete write-off.
Anna Wintour will be able to come because she's British. But if someone has an American passport, they're not allowed in almost any European country. Some they can, but certainly not here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the fashion because I think it will be probably a little bit darker and it will be probably inspired by this very strange time, which are not only COVID, but also what happens politically. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people do. Is it going to be top luxury or less luxury? Is it going to be darker in color, in materials?
I think it can go either way. I think it will depend entirely on the designer's brand ethos, because if the temptation is, the designers that were already moving into couture, take Richard Quinn, for example, who was kind of really segueing into couture. He's had this time to really, focus on these like gorgeous details, and the labor of love makes sense because we've been inside or in the studio or whatever. But a lot of designers will have been struggling with fabrics or trying to find loopholes or trying to be inventive or reacting to certain different climes. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see who's gone which way. I would put my money on a few people going straight for the deep, rich luxury as a kind of self-care solace. And I think a lot of people have been thinking about sustainability as well.
People will be probably reusing a lot of stock that is gone unsold, that it stayed there waiting to be in some stores. And so I really hope they will, because I really don't want people to be burning huge amounts of material. So I guess there will be a lot of creativity, especially in the young brands, around reusing or rethinking or redesigning what I had designed.
Well, a lot of designers have been asking for a little pause, and now they've kind of had it just to catch their tails almost. Been on the rat race for so long, and now unfortunate circumstances, but COVID has kind of given everyone a pause to take that extra time to think or recycle, or actually hang on, we can make this sustainability move.
There will be some that will pause either one other season or forever, because if you've seen, we've seen the schedule of New York. There's no Marc Jacobs, no Ralph Lauren, no Oscar de la Renta, no Telfar. I'm telling you, the one that jumped to my attention, I'm like, whoa, that's really a fashion week without the people that are either making the most money or having the most interest by the press. And these are quite, I'm talking about Marc Jacobs and Ralph Lauren. These are quite big brands or belonging to big groups, and they're posing. So something big is happening there.
That excites me, though. I think long overdue. I'm really excited to see a shift in schedules, a pause, a rejig. I think that's welcome, in my opinion.
So you think it's going to push up the younger brands that New York was never very good at doing?
I would really hope so. I just don't know. My gut is negative and my heart is optimistic.
Oh, that's good. That's a good way of putting it. Bottom line, there's not much we can say about the actual calendar, because this is a really early chat that we're having. But I can tell you that I am, on one side, I'm confused, but on the other side, I'm excited, because I think if there was a moment in time for especially the young upcoming brands, but also for the big one too, like, Alessandro Michele did, to review your ways, well, then that was this one. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the actual clothes, but also, the way people present and the way people will talk to us. And I really hope there's going to be a little bit more depth also in the whole thing. It's going to be less shallow.
I agree. I hope people have kind of dig deep and tried to, like you say, depth, tried to find interesting artists to work with or interesting ways to present, or just, it's creating a new language. So I understand it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get right on the first try, but I'm really, really hoping that the digital offerings this season kind of spark joy, excite us, and hopefully we have less of a roller coaster like we had last season, up and down every day.
Yeah, and spark joy is the right word, but I also think that the thing that they will all have to try to do is let go with the past, and let's embrace what's new. And for me, that's always exciting.
All right.
I'm looking forward to reading your reviews and to talk to you again at the end of New York.
Yay! I'm excited. I'm excited now. This conversation has got me excited.
Good. I'm glad. Hopefully it's going to get everybody else excited.
Okay. We'll speak soon, Mimma.
Thank you, Georgie. Bye. Bye-bye.